Welcome back to a look through all the cars of the year from the 1960s to the present day. Did the reviewers pick wisely or did they choose poorly? If you haven't seen my previous videos, there's a link to part 1 above or in the description. We've now reached day 4 where we're going to look at the 1990s. We've now reached day 4 where we're going to look at the 1990s, and the first car is the third win for the innovative car producer Citroen for their new luxury car, the XM. Like previous winners from the 1980s, the Granada Scorpio and the Carlton Omega, this was the mass car maker's luxury fight back against Audi, BMW and Mercedes. And although the XM sold modestly well, it wasn't a hit that Citroen needed, selling only 333,000 cars over 11 years. The 1991 winner was another French car and an iconic car that was everywhere in the 1990s, the Renault Clio. It replaced the iconic Renault 5 that came close to winning itself in 1973, and the floor pan and suspension for the Clio were actually reused from the 1980s Renault 5. The shape and interior were all new though, and it was the perfect shape for the new decade. The first generation Clio would do very well, thank you very much, selling 4 million cars over 9 years. The Volkswagen Golf had also sold well over the past 18 years, but had never won Car of the Year. It got close in 1974, but was pipped to the post by the Citroen CX. That all changed in 1992 with the launch of the third generation car. Like the Clio, it was a great all-round package, delivering a practical hatchback with a range of frugal or sporty engines. It may all seem logical and Germanic, but it was designed by American J. Mays, who'd go on to help style the new Beetle. The Golf would go on to be a very consistent car, always delivering a great package throughout its 51-year life and counting. You might not realise it, but the European Car of the Year award wasn't just open to European cars. The American Oldsmobile Tornado, of all things, had come third in 1966, but it would take until 1993 for the first non-European car to win, and it was a deserved winner. The Nissan Micra, which had been a hit since its launch in 1982, and the second generation in 1992, raised the bar in super minis. It wasn't all Japanese either. It was being manufactured in Sunderland in the north of England. It offered more safety protection than most super minis. The Micra was a big seller in Europe, but with tight profit margins on small cars, Nissan would end up in financial problems by the end of the decade. Ford had been talking up world cars for years, but were always stymied by their own company, such as the third generation Escort, which was almost a new car in North America thanks to the North American engineers. Not so with the Mondeo, the winner for 1994. It won praise from critics like the Sierra, but this time it was also loved by the public, selling very well across Europe. Not so in North America. The Ford Contour, as it was called, never caught on. It led in the UK to the phrase Mondeo man, a type of person who'd voted for the Conservatives in the 1980s and who Labour hoped to win over. It showed the change in British culture, that working people were now much more affluent and instead of taking the bus were driving around in well-appointed cars like these. Fiat wanted to get away from the straight-edged cars of the 1980s and so went for this rounded design for the Punto. It was a shape originally styled by Giuseppe Giugiaro for the Renault Clio, but after they rejected it, it found a home for this Italian car that, like all small Fiats, sold very well because it hit that sweet spot of great value and great practicality. It sold well, of course, 3.4 million cars in just 6 years. Fiat scored a 1-2, winning the following year as well with a larger Bravo and Brava. The Bravo replaced the outgoing Tipo, whereas the Brava was a saloon and took the name from the 1974 Fiat 131 that was sold as the Brava in North America. Sales boomed when it launched, with over 220,000 cars sold in the first 2 months. But in the end, sales were a little disappointing for a small Fiat, with only 1.3 million cars sold over 7 years. The Punto, the Bravo and the Brava seemed to be a new Fiat, a rebirth of the company that now produced solid cars without rust, something that would compete against the best in the world. Renault had been undergoing something of a revolution in the 1990s. They were sticking firmly to cost to ensure each car was profitable. That didn't mean that their cars were boring, far from it. The Twingo was a cheeky take on the Super Mini and loved by many, but it was the Renault Megane Scenic that kick-started a whole new type of vehicle, the MPV, and won Car of the Year in 1997. It was a taller car that had lots of innovations, such as lower rear windows and flip-down rear trays, to make sure it was just as much fun in the back of the car as in the front, something that we can all agree was important when we were kids. The Megane Scenic was meant to be just another version of the Megane, but it was so popular that it became a model in its own right, the Renault Scenic. Alfa Romeo was yet to win a Car of the Year award, but that changed in 1997 with the 156. This was Alfa's attempt to move upmarket with a car that parent Fiat hoped could combine their new level of quality with a styling flair into a potent combination that would defeat the German threat. It was a good plan, but Alfa's quality wasn't quite there yet, and although the 156 sold well, it never lived up to expectations. The last Car of the Year winner for the 1990s can be only one car, the Ford Focus. Like the Peugeot 405 in 1988 and coincidentally the Alfa 156 a year earlier, the Focus walked away with the title, trouncing the new Vauxhall Opel Astra. Sometimes the Car of the Year jury was taking a punt on a new car. It looked promising, but there could always be quality or reliability issues that could kill resale values and therefore sales of new cars. The Ford Focus was just about as safe a bet as they could make. Ford had decades of experience making solid cars, and the looks, handling and performance of the new car were just about perfect. Like the voting, Focus sales boomed while the Astra faded from its 1980s heyday. Okay, that rounds out the 1990s. Next up is the 2000s with a video on the right. Again, if you're watching this video day to day, then you'll have to wait until tomorrow. So I'll see you tomorrow.